Hey there folks, Rath here from Tabletop Minis, and welcome to our episode. We're going to talk about the tournament that I've just attended, Winter War, and also go over the Q&A. So it's kind of, we'll make it a Q&A video, but I'll also talk about, the tournaments and kind of what I've been up to over the last few weeks. It's been a couple of weeks since we put any videos up, but my main friend here in Aberdeen who I play with, he's been away on holiday, so I haven't been able to do any battle reports, but been really busy painting models for this tournament that I've just attended, Winter War, and so I've been really busy with the hobby, but just haven't really had time to make any videos and or do any battle reports. So we'll talk about Winter War first, then maybe a little bit of chit chat about some of the new stuff going on, and then at the end I'll just cover a few of the questions from the last Q&A, although a lot of the responses in that was kind of tips for like the army list building and so on, because in the last episode I talked about how I was going to take high elves and some of the things that I might do there. So Winter War was an amazing success. I think we raised £3,700 for Bloodwise, so a good charity event. Thanks to everybody who organised the event and everybody who took part. It was a lot of fun, and there was about, I think, 90 to 100 attendees in total, playing Age of Sigmar, playing 40k, playing Bolt Action, Flames of War, and there was 4 people actually playing 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which was quite funny because they had their own, there's 4 of them, 3 games, so they all got to play each other, which was quite interesting. So I went down with 2 of my other friends, like one of the guys was playing Fantasy, and the other guy was playing Bolt Action, and myself in Age of Sigmar, which was pretty cool. And I got to meet loads of really cool Age of Sigmar players there, like some of the guys who run the podcasts. A lot of the guys there were attendees of other events, some down south and so on, so there's people from all over the place. It was quite nice to have an event relatively close. It was a couple hours drive away, but we still had to sort of leave at like 5 in the morning. It was a bit of a long day, but it was really good. So thanks to everybody who got involved and the organizers. So I'll do a quick rundown of the event. I didn't get to take any video or as many pictures as I would have liked. I was just using my phone this time to take pictures, and actually ran out of memory, and then I had some issues with my phone, so I just basically stopped taking photos. So I've got a couple to show you, but I'll just talk you through like the games that I had and my general impressions. It being the first Age of Sigmar tournament or Warhammer tournament that I've ever been to, really. You'll know from the channel that we don't really play competitively. We play just kind of fluffy lists, scenarios, and with the General's Handbook coming out relatively recently, we're just getting into the back into the competitive side of Warhammer or Age of Sigmar, so it's really good. So my first draw, I was playing Andy Curry, so he's the captain of the Scottish Six Nations team for next year. So it was good to meet him. I know he was on the Last Kings podcast, which is Age of Sigmar podcast, and he had a really strong list, Tomb Kings. It was my first time actually playing Tomb Kings, so there was a lot of new stuff to deal with there, and the list was very competitive. Like, he's a very competitive player, and his list, you could tell it was designed to win games. So, but I mean, it's a tournament, so that's what you kind of expect. So my list, well, I'll tell you what I had first, and it remained the same throughout the day. So we talked about a list last time on the last Q&A, but that changed a little bit. I ended up taking a Celestant Prime. I took the Lord Celestant on Dracoth, a unit of Judicators, and 2 units of Liberators as my Stormcast contingent. And from the High Elves, I took an Anointed on Frostdart Phoenix, and I took a unit of 20 Phoenix Guard and 3 Repeater Bolt Throwers. And I also had Teclis there because he's got a really nice Tempest spell. So not too competitive a list. I knew that if I hit some hard lists like Clan Scryer or basically any of the really competitive lists, would probably get smashed. But I thought it'd be quite fun to play with anyway. So first game against Andy, I've not seen all of the Tomb King's combos before, but I have heard about the snakes, the Necropolis Knights, and them getting buffed up. and their movement becomes really high. I think they can fly, and then so I got to see these shenanigans in the first turn or two. I lost the roll on initiative, and well, no, actually, he finished deployment before me, so he got to choose to make me go first, and he also got to choose which side of the table to go on. So I ended up with half of my deployment zone was next to mystical terrain, which didn't have much of an impact on the game actually, but yeah, I had to kind of think about that a little bit. And I'll just summarize these games pretty quickly. Basically, he had Cetra, he had I can't remember the hero's name, but he had a hero next to the Cetra who could transfer wounds, and a few other heroes in a big group in the middle, and then he had his snakes that came forward. I think it was one unit of 6 or 9 of them. There was a lot of them. I'll show you a picture of that. And he had a Screaming Skull catapult and some chariots and some units of skeleton archers. And I was just amazed actually by how tanky the list was. Everything was, it had many ward saves, ability to transfer wounds. In my first turn, I wasn't really in range of much other than my repeater bolt throwers. They took off a few skeletons, which ended up coming back. Yeah, I think I don't think I played it as well as I could have, but I think still the list that he had is a really strong one. I couldn't list it to you now, but there was lots of units buffing other units, and a lot of synergies there. So, and with the Death Army being able to put back wounds or put back models from depleted units, it made it very hard to actually kill anything. I didn't even target the snakes really, because a unit that big with that many wounds, I wouldn't have been able to destroy them in a single turn, I don't think. Maybe if I had focused everything on it. But I chose to kind of try and get Cetra down. So Celestant Prime came down in turn 2, charged Cetra, but he was just he was taking so many ward saves and then transferring wounds onto this hero next to Cetra, and then that hero taking saves again and so on. It was such a tanky army. I was really surprised with how strong Tomb Kings are. I mean, I remember looking at the Warlords tournament coverage from Warhammer TV, and I think there was one Tomb Kings army there maybe. So I thought it was maybe not that popular an army, but quite competitive, but I didn't realize actually how strong it is. I was going into the tournament expecting to see the best lists maybe being Warrior Brotherhood, Skyborn Slayers, maybe some Clan Scar lists, with the Mortal Wound spam from the Storm Fiends, and some things like that, maybe some Kairos Sail stuff, so they can manipulate the turn and all that stuff. So I was surprised. It was a good game though. I mean, it was good to see the Tomb King's army. Nice paint job. It was really good to be in a tournament. That's one thing as well, Most people had painted armies, like probably 95% of the people there. So all very nice games with fully painted armies. So I lost that game basically in turn 2. As soon as his snakes came forward, they flew across the board in turn 1. And in that first turn that they hit my units, they took off the Celestin on Dracoth. He died. I think he basically annihilated the Phoenix Guard, and also one snake on the side who was clipping a unit of Liberators took off 4 of the Liberators, and then the Liberator Prime, I think he ran away in the battle shock phase. I can't remember exactly if it went like that, but basically the snakes came forward, they smashed the core of my unit, of my army, and turn 2 I brought the Celestin Prime down, charged Cetra, couldn't take out Cetra, and my Frostheart Phoenix, that charged forward into his I think it was a War Sphinx he had, which was also really tanky. It was halving all the wounds that it takes rounding up. It was just such a tanky army to face. Like, even if you've got a competitive list, I think coming against that Cetra Tomb Kings list, it's quite a difficult one to take down. It all revolves, I think, around Cetra using his command abilities so that all other heroes can use their command abilities, and then there's just so many overlapping buffs or stacking buffs and synergies going on that while he's got all that going for him, and then Necropolis Knights, they do a huge amount of damage. You know, because it was a tournament, I wanted to keep things moving quickly, so I wasn't really trying to understand every ability and synergy. I was just kind of going with the flow. But they can get buffed up to do an absolutely crazy amount of damage. So yeah, pretty scary. I'll know that for next time I take them on. So that was a good game. Good to play Andy Curry. He was a gent to play with, you know, explaining everything that, you know, when I didn't know what something was, one of his units was doing, he kind of explained it to me, and like a gent to play with. So that was fun. Wasn't that great losing my first game, but you know, I didn't take that competitive a list and first time in the tournament, so I wasn't expecting much. But yeah, that was fun. It was actually strange to finish a game. I think we finished the game in turn 3 or the end of turn 3. I just conceded because basically my whole army almost was off the table, and there was no chance of making a comeback. The units that I had done damage to, they had regenerated to full practically. I think that I got one of his heroes killed, and that was about it. So that didn't go too well, but it was fun anyway, and it was quite fun to finish the game in a reasonable amount of time as well. Normally, when I play a game at home, it takes 4 or 5 hours, probably is my average, because, you know, cups of tea and just relaxing with the book, looking at stuff. But you know, in the tournament, you've kind of, especially if you've got an opponent who plays quite quickly, and you know, you want to keep things moving smoothly, so you try and do things as fast as you can, and maybe kind of I think looking back on my games, there's a lot of things that I forgot as well, and you know, even tactically, you know, not spending that much time think about exactly what I was doing. But I think that's just normal. I think, you know, the more tournament practice you do, and the more games you play, you know, you can speed up your playtime. So that was good. Then we had our lunch and so on. It was good they put the lunch on, and they also had a massive raffle there. That was quite fun. I won a bolt action tank, even though I don't play bolt action at the moment, but my friend does, so I just gave it to him. He gave me some markers that he won as a kind of trade. We went into game 2. For game 2, I was playing a Death Army, and it was a really nice Death Army, painted in bright colours, quite unusual, but it was a striking army. It was basically, he had 4 Morghast Archais, he had Manfred on the Dread Abyssal, and what else did he have? He had 2 units of 3 Flares, and 30 zombies in the middle. And yeah, it was quite an interesting list. I'm not really sure with the rules for the like zombies and things like that, but he had 2 standard bearers in each unit of 10 zombies. And we had this discussion, a little bit of a rules discussion at the start with one of his friends, was saying that, well, if he brings them units together, them 3 units that each have 2 standard bearers in them, they can heal a d6 models per turn, so that then it would become either 3d6 or 6d6 zombies. I mean, we were just moving things on, so we didn't really come to any proper conclusion on it. I'm not sure how it works. I think we just settled for, yeah, okay, you can heal a d6 or 3d6, but we never really got to a point in the game where that made any difference. But it was, you know, it'd be good to know actually whether you can do that or not. And why did they have 2 standard bearers? I thought that was unusual, but you know, in the interest of just moving things on, we just got on with playing. So it was a really fun game. My opponent was really fun to play with. A lot of just chit chat on the table and quite laid back actually. You know, my first opponent was very, like, you could tell he knew exactly what he was doing, everything to the book. My second opponent was a bit more relaxed and just kind of, you know, going with the flow, which was, you know, more kind of like the type of game that I'm used to at home, where we're just kind of a bit relaxed and having some fun. So I came out with the major victory in that game. Of note, I'm not sure if there's anything really of note that happened in the game. It was quite straightforward, really. Well, I didn't mention that actually the 3 scenarios we were playing. The first one was Blood and Glory, so that we had the 4 objectives, 2 on each side of the board. The second game was Border War, So because I got the first turn, I got initiative, or not initiative, I finished deployment before my opponent. I took the first turn. I managed to get my troops up onto the border objectives at the very start. And I think that's quite an important scenario to have mobile troops, and important to get the first turn as well, because if you can get enough troops onto them border objectives, you can kind of block your opponent a little bit from coming forward. So I was picking up the first turn I picked up 5 victory points because I controlled both of them in the middle and my own one. Second turn I still had control of the middle, so I got another 5, and then I ended up with I think about 6 or 7 more victory points than my opponent at the end. What else happened? Yeah, he sent his Manfred across the board, slammed into Teclis, rather than him coming into my who did I have on the objective? I think he just wanted to kill Teclis, so he did that. He came into close combat, basically one-shot Teclis. Teclis was completely useless to me really over the course of all the games. I think I was a bit unlucky with him. He got befuddled in the first game next to Mystic Terrain, so he couldn't do much. He was failing an awful lot of casting with Tempest and other spells, even with his bonus, which is unusual. Whenever I play him normally, he pretty consistently gets off 2 or 3 spells a turn. But yeah, so in the second game he got one shot off the table, and then my Phoenix Guard managed to pile into Manfred, take him down to I think a single wound, and then the Repeater Bolt Throwers finished him off. So that was a fun game as well. It was good to play these scenarios as well. I've not played a lot of the ones from General's Handbook, so it was quite good to understand, for example, in that scenario, having mobile troops, being able to get them border objectives quickly was quite beneficial. And then I went into my third game. I was playing Savage or Bone Splitter's Savage Orc Arab Boys list. So this guy had a lot of troops on the table. I think he had 80 Savage Orc Arab Boys. He had 20 Boar Boys, a ton of heroes. I think they're the Maniac. Maniac. He had 2 big bosses. So it was 2 Cunning Rucks, and it was another Ruck that involved the Boar Boys, and that was quite fun to play. Just seeing that many models on the table. The green Wah. I kind of felt sorry for him with his big stack of 140 dice or whatever. I sort of put it down on the table in a sort of 10 by 16. So, with that many shots, you've got so much rolling to do. I kind of went for I knew he was going to hand off Gork across the board and try and get his Arab Boys within range as soon as possible. So I played at the back. I tried to use my Repeater Bolt Throwers to pick off the big boss. So that they don't get the bonus. But I think he managed to stay on 1 wound, and then he managed to heal up to 3 or 4 wounds following that. So I didn't manage to pick him off, but it was pretty fun. The Boar Boys came smashing forward. It was a good fight actually. It wasn't really that one-sided. I think because the scenario was Gift from Heavens, and my Meteor ended up in the middle on my side and on the far corner on his. So he ended up taking a unit of 40 Arab Boys into that corner, so they didn't really do much during the game. But there was a lot of combat. It wasn't really so heavily one-sided, which I thought was pretty cool. Although the 40 Arab Boys that did get to shoot, they did quite a lot of damage. But because I had Phoenix Guard and Stormcast with pretty good saves and ward saves, I didn't feel like he was doing as much as he could have. But I'm going to drop in the mic. But yeah, it was a fun game. My opponent in the third game, he was a kind of youngster. I'm not sure how old he was, maybe sort of 14 or 15, something like that. But it was good fun to play a variety of opponents and lists as well. So I got to see the Tomb Kings list was definitely a super competitive one. I think that's a really good list, to take to any tournament. The second game, the Death list, was a bit more fluffy, and my opponent was you could tell he was more of a kind of playing for the fun rather than playing for the win. And the last list was a I would say a fairly competitive Bone Splitters list. Although, you know, having to roll that many dice, I did kind of feel sorry for him. But that's what happens if you choose an Arboy list, you know, it's a lot of dice. I think a few people that play that list, they talk about using them dice roller programs, but I don't think anybody's going to accept that. So they're stuck with bags and bags of dice. So yeah, that was 3 games. Basically, I've probably overlooked lots of really important things, and you know, there was a lot of fun going on. It was good to see a lot of the shenanigans with the, like, what Cetra and the Necropolis Knights can do, and the Arboys and all this. I felt a little bit lost, to be honest, with the Tomb Kings game and the Bone Splitters game, because I'm not that familiar with their special rules and synergies and formations, and they've got so many different things going on at the same time that, you know, like I said before, in the interest of keeping the games flowing, you know, I was just going with the flow with, you know, what my opponent was saying. So, yep, thanks to all the guys that played. It was a lot of fun. So I came out of it with, I lost that last game to, but it wasn't by a huge margin. It wasn't a landslide. But yeah, so I got two losses and 1 major victory. So I think after the event, I came somewhere around 16th out of 24, 25. So not the bottom, but nowhere near the top. But I mean, it wasn't a competitive list, so I think that's the standard excuse, right? Something like that. So yeah, first impressions of the tournament. Yeah, I mean, I think next tournament I go to is I'm going to take a much stronger list and do a bit more homework on, you know, some of the top lists out there. We had quite good representation. I think we had a lot of death armies. We had quite a bit of order there with Stormcasts and Fire Slayers and Sylvaneth and so on. We had a few good Orc armies. I don't think, did I see Iron Jaws? I think there was an Iron Jaws there, but there was Bone Splitters as well. And so I think pretty much, well, most armies were represented there, which was nice to see. It was really nice to see all these other different armies painted up on the table. You know, at lunchtime we did the kind of, you know, you go around and you vote for the armies, the painting, and that was nice to see. But I think I need to kind of go into, if you want to come out with a result, I think more preparation and like, you know, taking a stronger list would have been a good idea. But it was a lot of fun. It was really good to meet a lot of the people as well, that relatively local Age of Sigmar players and tournament attendees. And so all in all, a pretty good day out. Pretty knackered when I got back up to Aberdeen after such a long day. I'm thinking about the sort of, you know, more tournaments to come. I've actually, I don't know if you've seen that, you know, the Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament in 2017. That is, the tickets went live for that about 2 weeks ago on the Warhammer World website, and you know, I got my ticket straight away because I knew I wanted to go, and I thought that they'd probably sell out within a couple of days. They did actually sell out within, I think it was about a week or a week and a half. So I've got my spot in that. That's for Heat 1. So the Grand Tournaments, basically they're going to do 3 heats of 90 players, and then the top 40 players out of each heat have the option to buy a ticket for the final in, I think the final is in, is it October? I've got a feeling it's October, but I might be wrong. So I thought that, you know, that'll be a great event to get down to Warhammer World. I've not been down there before, so maybe stop in the exhibitions and so on after the weekend tournament, and you know, take a competitive list this time. Take a list with the aim of, you know, trying to place as high as I can. At the same time, have a lot of fun. You know, see some really cool armies down there, meet a bunch of new people, and take in the exhibition. So I've got that to look forward to in January. I'm not sure what I'm going to take. I know that I'll probably have to either build on an existing army or take a new army, because, you know, I've got a ton of armies, but not so many competitive lists from them armies. So I mean, if you look at all the best units that are going around, you know, Kurnoth Hunters, Celestial Hurricanums from Order, even Griffhounds, and from Chaos, like things like Kairos or Sail, and there's so or Storm Fiends, and like there's so much stuff that I don't have in my collection at the moment, but I'm not sure exactly what list I'm going to take yet. It seems like well, one of the really good things I think is that when you look at all the tournament results since the General's Handbook's come out, there's a lot of competitive lists that are from all the different Grand Alliances. So there's a lot of strong lists and synergy combo lists that you look at and you think, wow, that is super strong. But there's it's not like one army is better than everything else. For example, just to name a few, like the Skyborn Slayers, Warrior Brotherhood, and that Celestial Hurricanum Kurnoth Hunter list from Order is really, really strong. But you've also got from Chaos the like Kairos, Sail, and there's from each alliance. I would say that there's some really strong lists that have been doing really well in the tournaments. The Warlords was won by Bone Splitters, which is destruction. And Death as well has been doing really well in tournaments. So there's plenty of choice when it comes to competitive lists. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to take, but I'm sure I'll figure it out soon. Plenty of stuff to look at, and yeah, I'll need to do some painting, maybe get some more minis for that, but I'm quite looking forward to it. And then what else have we got going? We've got, I think, Blood and Glories in two weeks, which is down in Derby. I think it's run by Ben Curry. Getting Andy Curry, Ben Curry mixed up. Ben Curry, the guy who he does Bad Dice podcast, and I think he runs the Grand Alliance forums as well. So that looks really cool as well. I'm not sure, it's a bit kind of short notice, I think, to attend that, but still 2 weeks, so I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe I'll decide to last minute buy a ticket and go down, but we'll see. But it's really cool getting back into the sort of competitive side of gaming. I think with General's Handbook and stuff, it's a lot of fun. It's brought competitive back to Age of Sigmar. I know it's a kind of people like to argue that a lot about Age of Sigmar being competitive and with the random turn or initiative and so on. There's some things there that inherently mean that there's you can't really plan for everything, but I think that makes it more interesting. I think with Age of Sigmar, a lot of it comes down to making synergies work for you, and I think even if you've got a good list and you're a good player, if you don't get a little bit of luck, you probably won't come out of an event as the winner. So there's even if you've got that, it's one of the good things, I think, even if you don't have the most competitive list, you can still win a game because you just get that double turn at the right moment and things work for you. So I'm not going to ramble on about that too much. That's pretty cool. So hoping to get to a lot more of these gaming events over the next year and so on. I put my name down also for the Scottish team for the Six Nations as a team member, or if I don't get on the team, it'll still be good to play. Maybe I can get some practice games with the guys who are going down for the Six Nations event, which is really cool. The Grand Alliance website or forum, if you're not familiar with it, I'll put a link in the video description. That seems to be the best place that I've found to, where the Age of Sigmar community is, and it's quite a good vibe from the forums, a lot of helpful threads and so on. I think that's the place to go. So if you haven't checked out, check out in the video description. What else? We've got Blood Bowl's gone up for pre-orders this week. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to get the new Blood Bowl box set with Skaven on release, which is nice. I thought it'd be quite a while before we see Skaven and Dwarfs, and it's rumored the Dwarfs are going to come a week or two later. So, and also the Death Zone expansion is available on release, which covers all the other teams like High Elves, Wood Elves, and so on. So if you have older models, but I'm not sure if it's really changed all that much. There's plenty of unboxing videos and so on. The teams look amazing, and actually I'm really surprised by the price point. You know, the box sets, I think we were expecting something like 85, 90 pound, but it's, I believe it's 60 pound or 65 pound, so it's quite cheap for what it is. And the teams, you know, the Skaven teams, 20 pound for 12 models, which is, I think, a really good deal, and a really good direction for Games Workshop to be going in for things like this Blood Bowl, where you know, if it's got a high entrance cost, it's unlikely to get picked up. But so really looking forward to that. I'm not sure how I'm going to run. I'm definitely going to run a league or get into a league, start doing some more Blood Bowl. It seems like yesterday actually we did the Bridie Bowl thing, but that was back in March, so that's going to be coming up in a couple of months from now again, which would be really cool. What else is going on? We've got we've got points now, don't we, for the Balewind Vortex and the Warhammer Quest models. So there was a lot of discussion about the Balewind Vortex being free, so it basically becomes an auto include. You need to take it with you because you might want to use it, and they updated the War Scroll, so now monsters can't use it. So don't worry, you don't have to put your nice Archaon or you know, monsters can't use it, so they can't stand on top of it, and you don't have to worry about them falling off and so on, which is a bit more practical and makes sense, I think. So, you know, if you're a little solo model like Teclis or Archmage or something, you can use it. But they've added a points cost to it, 100 points, so it's not free. It's arguably worth it for some wizards. Personally, I was going to get one or two, but now that they've added a points cost to it, I don't think I'm going to bother, because I really don't see any scenario when I'm going to want to use it. And if I do, then I can always pick it up later. I think it's good it's only £10 as well. So that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it for the kind of what I've been doing. I'm probably going to show you what I've been painting over the last few weeks at the end of this video, if I can take the camera around and set up the models. But we'll just go into the Q&A quickly. There wasn't so many questions because a lot of it was just talk from about the list I was taking to Winter War. But yeah, we've got Redbeard Boss. We had a nice discussion thread there about taking, he actually gave me the idea about taking the Phoenix Guard rather than you know, the list that I had initially planned, and with the Frostheart Phoenix. And you know, when you look at the High Elf lists, I think the Frostheart Phoenix, or even the Flamespire Phoenix, that's really good as well. But the Frostheart with Phoenix Guard is quite nice, because, you know, you're getting so many ward saves, and you basically get the Anointed on the Phoenix for free, so it's quite a cost-effective unit. So yeah, that was quite good though, so thanks for your input there, Redbeard. I ended up changing the list at the last minute to take, sorry, I was going to take Eltharion, I dropped him. I was going to take Alethanar, but I dropped him at the end because he can't affect, you know, he's got a command ability for buffing highborn units, so they can reroll once to hit in the shooting phase. But because the Repeater Bolt Throwers, the crew have the highborn keyword, but the model itself doesn't have, the actual weapon Repeater Bolt Thrower doesn't have that keyword. It doesn't work for that, so that's kind of why I dropped that. What else do we have here? So yeah, that was a 2200 point tournament. Let's see, what else do we have? MC1 Gamer saying, in my opinion, getting the General's Handbook on the app is essential. I like hardcovers, but the points in the app are needed. They're useful, they're very convenient. I wouldn't say they're required or needed, but you know, they are convenient. So like, you know, if you don't want to carry a stack of books around with you, then having it on the app's preferential. I mean, I bought it on the app. I think it's worth it, just to be able to see the points. You know, if you want to just flick through and have a look at something, or you know, you're on the bus or whatever going to work, and you want to just read something, and then it's quite handy. I also do like the War Scroll Builder for making the lists. Yeah, it's not an officially approved method of doing it, but I think the guy who runs that is pretty quick at updating it. And you know, just as because the app doesn't have it at the moment, maybe they'll include it at a later date. But for now, I think the War Scroll Builder, I think a lot of people use that website for it. It's really handy. see, Birdman Finch is asking, do you plan on doing any more painting hangouts in the near future? Yeah, well, I hope so. I certainly enjoyed all the previous ones we did. It's good to kind of paint and chat at the same time. Yep, so I hope so. I'm not sure when though. And I've got good internet now, so actually, you know, the upload speed's a lot better, so that's a plus. Yeah, there's a lot more comments here on the list that was taken. Terminator 64, please can we have a Dreadfleet bat rep, please? And then another comment, please. I'm not sure if he's serious, but I do have the Dreadfleet box set assembled now. I don't have it painted yet, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's so many, you know, so many things going on. I don't know if I can squeeze painting Dreadfleet in there, but possibly. Hooves of Doom, he says, so much to do. Good luck with the tournament. I'm getting back into that scene myself. Thanks, Hooves. I know I was watching your Holy Havoc videos. That looked like it was a lot of fun, and it was really nice actually, the coverage of that tournament. I thought the tables that you were playing on, you know, having specific scenery with custom scenery rules was really interesting, and also, you know, looking at the photos of like the armies there, like Your Undead and Vince and Tom's Chaos and so on. I thought it was really, really good. You know, I'm so used to watching Vince show stuff on his camera where you can't really see the details so well, that like in some of them photos, looking at his Archeon and so on, it was really, really good. And it is loads of fun, isn't it? Like get to kind of get together, meet some new people and so on. What else do we have here? Alistair Jack saying, focus on Sigmar till 8th edition. I assume he's talking about 8th edition 40k. So there's this rumor that the new 40k is going to come out early next year, and it's going to be somewhere in between where 40k is now and Age of Sigmar. So I think, and you know, I was in my local Games Workshop a few weeks ago, and the guy was telling me that actually this is the first time that he's had Age of Sigmar outselling 40k. So, you know, compared to fantasy, for like he had never in the past had fantasy outselling 40k, but Age of Sigmar is actually outselling 40k, which is really good news. And I think with the General's Handbook as well, a lot of people who were, you know, not so inclined to pick up Age of Sigmar have come back to it. It's quite funny on the Grand Alliance forum. They've got a thread there. It's and the author of the thread, Sigmar, and he's administrator, and he's got a picture of Sigmar there, and it's like, all you naysayers, come back, all will be forgiven. And then you just sort of, you know, all the naysayers that have come back since General's Handbook. It's quite funny to read through that, and just, there is actually so many people that have come back since the General's Handbook was released. So that's really cool. But back to the point anyway, yeah, I think new 40k is going to come out sometime next year, apparently, in the first half of the year. It's going to be somewhere in between. So I think some of the mechanics like rolling to wound and to hit, it being simplified, you don't compare like weapon skill to weapon skill, ballistic skill, and to a table and so on, is going to, they're going to streamline the rules a bit, because I think it is quite bloated, isn't it, with all the, there's just so many formations and quite a lot of 40k cheese, I think, that they're going to try and reduce. So I think that's going to be a really good move if they go that way. But you know, it's all kind of take it with a pinch of salt at the moment. Let's see, Edward Markle. My ancestors hail from East Lothian. Have you ever been down around that area? What do you think of the Seraphon? Glad you're back on air. So cheers, man. East Lothian, I went to uni in Edinburgh. Lived there for about 5 years, so quite familiar with the area there. Lots of fond memories. Seraphon, I'm not so sure on. I haven't played much Seraphon, either in 8th or in Age of Sigmar, and I don't actually have any Seraphon models, so I really can't give you too much of an opinion on it. I do know some people who have sold their Lizardman armies or Seraphon armies, and you know, their comments were really like, they either didn't enjoy them or they didn't feel like they were very competitive, but I don't know how true that is because I've not really looked at them too much myself. Yeah, but I don't know, maybe at some point we'll pick up a Seraphon army. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Terminator 64 again. Also, can you please tell me which tournament that is? I'm guessing it's that Warhammer World. I take it you're talking about the Grand Age of Sigmar tournament, which is at Warhammer World, yeah, in Nottingham. Okay, live Wah saying, would you ever go back to doing some 8th edition games? Probably not. There's, you know, I'm really into the Age of Sigmar stuff now. I have been holding off on rebasing my High Elves and stuff, but I think I'm probably going to end up rebasing them because, I don't know, I'm really enjoying Age of Sigmar, and you know, the last tournament I just went to yesterday, there was 4 people playing 8th edition, and it was the last time that they're going to put Warhammer Fantasy on. I'm not saying I definitely wouldn't. I mean, maybe if a friend or somebody wanted to play 8th edition specifically, then I would play them. But I think I'm going to just really go with the Age of Sigmar flow. So not really any interest in going back to 8th edition, but like I said, I'm not ruling it out. Let's see, Underdog saying, we want more Horus Heresy, keep it going please. Well, hopefully. I mean, I've got the 2 Horus Heresy lists, the World Eaters and Salamanders, but you know, Age of Sigmar is really taking all my time and interest at the moment. You know, Burning of Prospero came out, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming out for 40k as well, with the Demon Primarchs and like Magnus coming out for Christmas, and I don't think we're going to get much on the Age of Sigmar front for a while, but I don't think I'm going to do anything other than Age of Sigmar, maybe some Blood Bowl for the next wee while. And yeah, so Redbeard Boss saying, do you have a Facebook group? We've got a Facebook page, but for some reason it keeps trying to, I set it up as a what did I set it up as, like a entertainment group or something, and for some reason it's not giving me access, so I just gave up on Facebook. Like, well, not really, but I've been kind of sharing stuff on Twitter as well. You know, when we took that break from the hobby, the website tabletopminis.com, that the subscription for that went out, and I didn't renew it. And then somebody else took the domain. So like, I'm gonna have to do something else about the website as well, because that domain has been took by somebody else. I think for the reasons of just getting ad revenue from people looking at old videos and clicking on tabletopminis.com, and then when you go to that page, it just shows you like an advertisement, and they make revenue off it. But because they have the domain, I can't actually. It's not like I can't just pay a renewal and get it back. So I'd have to do like tabletopminis.org or something else. You know, if I put the website up again. But yeah, I'm probably going to do something about the Facebook to get it working again. But it was a good way of sharing photos and stuff. But there's Twitter. Twitter's good. Richard Strachan, I'll be at the Dunfermline tournament. See you there. Yeah, it was nice to meet you. Nice to see your Stormcast and Fire Slayers. That was really cool. I don't think you won any of your games, did you? But I hope you had some fun at least. I don't know. It was nice army you had though. I'm not sure how competitive Fire Slayers are really, but yeah, as long as you had fun, that's the main thing. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I've missed any questions here. So for the next Q&A, can you please put your questions below in the comments, and then we can go through them. Hopefully I'll be able to do some battle reports soon. What I'm trying to do is refocus some of the armies that I have to make them more competitive, and you know, getting some of them power units and synergies and nice combos. Hopefully it'll be more interesting for you viewers, not just on the competitive side, but you know, it'll make for better games when it's sort of competitive lists versus competitive lists. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So hopefully we'll get some more battle reports and stuff soon. But my friend's back from the States, back from his holiday, so I know he wants to get a game soon. So yeah, hopefully getting some new content soon. So I'll stop rambling. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.